Hey up guys, Aaron here, and today we were checking out a game called Scrap Mechanic. Now, I've been looking forward to playing this game for, it feels like a year or so. It must be a year. Ever since I found out about it. I can't remember where I saw it as well. Was it Kickstarter? I can't remember. But no, it wasn't Kickstarter. Maybe it was like the Indie database website. But I've been keeping an eye on this game for, it must be a year, maybe more. Something like that. Ever since I found out about it, and I've just been, I've just been wanting to play it so much, because of all the building mechanics and creations and contraptions you can do. I like the games like Besiege and modded Minecraft with all the mechanical parts and Space Engineers, that kind of a thing. Medieval Engineers, all the mechanical moving components and physics. So that is what we are able to do now. The game's come out today. It came out a few hours ago. Well, like 10 or 15 hours ago, something like that. There have been a few other people who seem to get early access to it, and for some reason, even though I'd been contacting them for about 6 months, Axolot Games, I haven't got a reply from them or anything, so I don't know what that's about, but whatever. I've got access to it now. And I've built a few things that you'll hopefully find interesting. First up here is my little buggy. If we get in here, it moves around. Whoa! It's front wheel drive, front wheel steering. And I've also got it set up so that, so in this mode, the centre of gravity on the vehicle is quite high. It's quite high up, and if you go around corners too quickly, it could topple over. So I've got a sort of stability mode, and it lowers the angle of the wheels, and it's more stable for driving. So yeah, that's pretty cool. The physics are very, very cool in this game. They feel really solid. A few bugs every so often, but usually issues pop up because of player error rather than the game. And I tell you what, the game looks fairly nice. We'll just come and park the vehicle inside my little base that I've been building. So today I'll just be showing you what I've been doing on this base and maybe show you how I've done it. So we'll just park it up, hop out. So this is the base. It's not exactly, amazing to look at, but it looks alright. You'll notice like there's a few things here where things don't match up, but it's done that way intentionally because of the contraptions and mechanics that I've got within my base. And this is the first thing I've built. I mean, I've played it for maybe an hour, and these are the few things that I've been building now. So first up, I suppose, we've got this thing here is a sensor, and what the sensor does is if something gets in its line of sight, it triggers, it switches on, and then with that you can then do other things. So with what I've got here is the sensor detects that I'm stood in the doorway. I'm not stood quite in the doorway yet, and then the door will open and the door's like segmented like that. So we've got like a little bit of piston action there, and then it come back through. And I've actually got another sensor there so that you can leave as well, and that's just using simple logic. So I'll show you and tell you about it in a few seconds. Out here is where all the logic stuff is happening and where most of the control boxes are, the control panels, or what are they called? Controllers. And then if we head up here, this is like the engineering bay. We can hit this and the garage door comes down and it fits in nicely. So if we go outside, the outside should now look fairly symmetrical and flush and geometrically correct if you look, apart from that bit stuck up, but that's fine, looks alright. Go back in. So first up, we've got a few. It's a nice little working area, but maybe we want to we've got one window, but maybe we want another window. We can click this, and that folds down into a window. It's also like a little table on the outside. Maybe even could be turned into some sort of cargo loading area or something like that. I don't know. So that folds down like that. We've got a few cables and stuff around. At the moment, the cables don't do anything. I'm not sure whether they actually will do anything to begin, you know, even as they develop it. And then over here, we've got a few other functions. So we've got a table which comes out, and the little radio swings down. We've got a plant pot that pops out to, you know, liven up the room a bit, bring some more oxygen into the room. It's lit up with some lights, and it hooks up to the water pipes to keep this hydrated. Not really, that's just me role playing. It doesn't actually do that. And then over here we've got, you know, a sink to wash our hands and some stuff to dry our hands, and the little ducky. And if you just watch, that starts folding away. The radio disappears, and then everything else folds away. So we've actually got a window as well, which can transform into a table, a work table. And we've got a radio, we can turn that on. Have a listen to the music. So yeah, that's what I've done so far. It's not like hugely amazing, but I think it works fairly well. How smooth the things fold out, and the plant pops out, and we've got this radio that swings down, and the hand washing area, the garage door. Ooh, that sounded a bit rough. We've got the window / loading bay thing, and we've got this fancy sensor trigger door that works from both sides. And if we go on the outside, you'll see how I've done the outside of the base as well. So this is always open because you need, you know, the outside to be able to see the outside. That's where the plant is hidden. That's where the sink is hidden in there, so people can't steal it or anything like that. Not that they would, or maybe they would, I don't know. There's multiplayer available, but I don't have any friends who have actually bought this because a lot of them don't seem to like playing these kind of games. Maybe it's too much like hard work, and you can actually just escape through there. And yeah, and then we've got our little buggy. So yeah, that's what I've done so far. It was just a matter of getting used to the mechanics, but it is very cool. So what I'll do is I think I'll show you how I've made this buggy, so you can see how all the parts move and stuff. So we'll just hop off him, get our trusty lift, click on him, place him down again, and we can lift him up a bit. So we've got a solid wooden frame, and on top of the wooden frame we've got the seat, the driving seat. On the back we've got an engine, we've got a controller block here, or a rotation editor. I'm not sure if they're going to change it for pistons, because I know that they're planning on adding pistons, even though you can use the mechanics of using rotors for pistons, because I mean, this is essentially a sort of piston action. If you look, it's lateral, is that the right word? I think it's lateral movement. It's a movement in a straight line, with not based on a rotation or a point or anything like that. So it is essentially a piston, but it's not a piston. It's not like a hydraulic or pneumatic piston as such. It's a piston based off of rotation. And I do think they are going to be adding pistons. I'm pretty sure I saw some videos on it and stuff like that, or some pictures. So wooden frame, driver's seat, controller block, and we've got the hang on a second, I'll swap to that. And we've got the engine there. We've got the wheels, and we've got some suspensions on each of the wheels. And if we open this up, you'll see the connections. So the engine is hooked up to the front two tyres, so that the front two tyres have drive. The back two, although they have axles, bearings, not axles, sorry, bearings, that allows them to rotate, but they don't have any drive. Now I could add drive, but then it tends to be a bit fast. You know, it can tend to flip because it's getting power from the rear, while these ones it's getting power from the front, which is a bit nicer, I think. And I'll probably turn up the power a little bit. We have, so yeah, the engine seat and the drive seat and the engine are linked together, and the engine is linked to the wheels, which means that when I'm driving it, if I press forward, the wheels get power to go forward. They speed up. If I press backwards, they go backwards. Then I've also set up some bearings here and here, which attach to the legs of the front two wheels, and they're hooked up to the driver's seat, and that means that when I... Oh, you won't see it there, will you? I'll just drop this down. When I'm in here, if I hit left, they turn. That's all that means. What we also have is a switch here. Well, and that switch is linked to the driver's seat, and by doing that, it means that that switch is accessible while driving. And then that switch is hooked up to this controller block, and this controller block is hooked up to these 4 extra hinges. Now these 4 extra hinges, all they do is allow the legs to swivel out, rotate out, and then on the controller block they're set to -60, which means that when it's turned off they stick out by -60 degrees clockwise, yeah, so counterclockwise, sorry, -60 degrees or 60 degrees counterclockwise. That's their default position, and then when the button is pressed they rotate an extra -30. So that's how that works. Now what it means by this is that its starting position is 60 degrees counterclockwise, and then we're going back an extra 30, and that's all that means. And that's how I've got this vehicle working as it is at the moment. It's like a bit of a dune buggy. And it handles fairly well. I will be doing other vehicles in the future, don't you worry. So yeah, that's how that works. Now we can talk about the door, I suppose. So we've got these 2 sensors. That's literally all. We've got 2 sensors, and they go over to a controller block there. And I'll show you this controller block system that I've got set up here. I saw this in another player's video, but I had also had a similar thing written down in my sketchbook. I've got a sketchbook full of designs for walking mechs and hover bikes and unicycle type things and all sorts. So basically, at the moment, I don't know whether this will change or not, controller blocks are limited to 1 input. So if I put a controller block down here and I get, let's say, a button, and I place it down here, and I get my control tool, which lets you couple up things, so I can couple up this trigger to this control block, and when I press it, whatever that control block is set up to do will do. Now if I get another button, let's say I want to have the same button control that one, you can't, it just doesn't do it. So you'd have to then delete that and then hook that up. What that would mean is that I could, for example, set up a sensor to open the doors for me to go outside, but then I would have no way of getting back inside because you can only have one trigger per control block. So the way you get around this is you have 2 triggers, 2 control blocks, and the 2 control blocks have 2 of these like arms. And what happens is when you trigger one, this arm, for example, rotates clockwise by 30 degrees, and it blocks this the line of sight of this this other sensor. Yeah, and the same goes with the other one. And that way, when you stood in the way of the sensor on the outside, this is triggered. When you stood on the sensor on the inside, this is also triggered. So it's essentially a AND gate, I suppose, which is triggerable by sensors. So if I'm stood on the inside it opens. If I'm stood on the outside, it opens. And if I'm stood on the inside and a friend's stood on the inside, it opens and remains open, even if somebody else then walks away. So long as one person is triggering one of them, it works. And then what happens is that triggers this. And in here, this is not really all that complicated, to be honest. Behind the wall here, I've got 2 rows of 3 rotors, bearings, like this. And essentially what happens is... Oh, actually, you might be able to see it if I stand here. That's it. That's how you get the piston sort of action, all by rotors. So the number 1 rotates clockwise, and while number 1 rotates clockwise, the middle one rotates double what one is rotating in the opposite direction, and then the third one here rotates the same as number 1. So number 1 and number 3, let's say if they both rotate 90 degrees clockwise, number 2 rotates 180 degrees counterclockwise. So I think that's how it goes anyway. That's all. I did it in 70s though, because of the way that I've got it set up. So rotor 1 goes clockwise 75, rotor 3 goes clockwise 75, but rotor 2 goes counterclockwise by 150 or minus 150 rotation, so in the opposite direction, which is 75 plus 75. That's how that works. And I've just done it on the other ones underneath. Now I could have put them all on the same row like this, and that would have meant that the doors would open all at the same time, but I wanted it to open in segments, so that's what that does. In fact, if I wanted to, I could drop these down by 2 each. So that's 8, let's see, that's 90, so 45, 45, 90, and then I could do 45, no, I don't want to do that, do I? No, we'll just leave it as it was. I'm confusing myself and trying to be fancy. Don't bother. So yeah, that's just how the control block looks. It basically handles rotations, and it goes from the left to the right, and then when you de-trigger it or re-trigger it, it goes back like this. I will be doing some more videos on that in the future, and again, I'm not really planning on doing a tutorial on how and why they all work, but I'll do tutorials and videos on my cool contraptions and how they work. But yeah, so that's how that works. So they pull away like that. This thing over here doesn't actually do anything. It's not hooked up anymore, so I could get rid of that. And these are all just simple rotations. That's literally a 90 degrees rotation, so that it flips down and then flips back up like that. This one is just 180 degrees flip. So that one's 90 degrees, that one's 180 degrees, that one is 180 degrees as well. And this one is sort of similar to the piston idea, where bearing number 2 here is rotating 90 degrees. And that one at the top is rotating 90 degrees in the opposite direction. That way it remains sort of level and it slots in nicely, and that way it sort of pops out and the legs come down like that. That's how that works. This one is a little bit more complicated, but well, not really. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bearings, and all that happens is bearing 1 rotates, bearing 2 doesn't actually rotate, and I could have got rid of it, but whatever, I kept it. So yeah, bearing 1 rotates clockwise 90 degrees, bearing 3 rotates 90 degrees, and bearing 4 rotates 90 degrees clockwise. So it sort of They all fold like that. That's all that does. That's all it is really. On the roof, it's similar to the piston, I believe. Let's have a look. Ah! It's just a matter of fiddling with the rotations, to be honest. In this one, I believe what happens is 3's the main hinge. Oh no, sorry, 1's the main hinge. 1 flips up, then 2 flips up and counters it, so it remains flat. And it just sort of slots in nicely like that. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. What I really want to know, though, the main reason for this video and for people watching is, what do you want me to build? Now, do you want me to build them and do a video of me building it, or do you want me to build it, work out the best way of building it, come back and then do a video on the final thing, the final item, and then explain how I got it to work and why it works and how it could be improved? I personally would prefer going that route, where I can spend a good few hours, make a really good contraption or machine, and then come back, do a video on the end result, how I got to that point and why it works and the setup and everything like that. Because I don't think people would enjoy me, you know, like 3 or 4 videos on just making a walker, when I could do one video on how I made the walker, and that way you get all the information that you need. But yeah, I hope you've liked this video, guys. I really love this game. I might have to call in sick for work for the next few weeks. I'm joking, I'm not doing that. Or maybe I will. No, I won't do that. Okay. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope everybody else gets the game. I'm going to see if I can get some of my friends to get it, and if they don't want to buy it, I'll buy it for them, just so they can come and bloody help me with these videos. But I love the scenery, I love the feel of it. It's got quite a harsh depth of field. Let's see what the options are in here. Graphics. So we've got depth of field. We can turn that off, but it does look quite nice with it on, to be honest. Foliage density doesn't really affect the frame rate at all, to be honest. So I could put it on very high, I suppose. Very cool. I am so happy with this. Running in 2K, and it's running anywhere between 120 and 60 FPS at 2K. Bloody brilliant. Can't believe it. Can't believe it, mate. It's fucking awesome. And the settings are really good as well. FOV, for me, I usually play quite high, but to be honest, 70 is quite nice. And I always have VSync off. Actually, we won't save that. We'll just continue. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. And don't forget, leave comments. What do you want me to build? What do you want to see? Has anybody got any ideas on what I can improve with the things that I've made at the moment? I do have plans for making an AT sort of walker, and I think I have a solution for driving all the legs with all the different moving parts, and also having it so that you can actually turn. It will be slow, but it'll be a fairly impressive 4-legged walking machine if my sketches and plans are correct, which they might not be, but we'll see. I'll give that a go next. Maybe. We'll see. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've probably said that about 4 times, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye.